Welcome back, everyone. Well, you know, the heart of any community is a hospital. And the hospitals always have a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of changes technologically that they need to adapt to quickly. And of course, as a community grows, the hospital needs to grow. Well, joining me today is Angelo Calbone, who is the president of Saratoga Hospital. And let's face it, as soon as you put the word Saratoga in there, Angelo, it's a community that's growing rapidly.
Sure is.
So I don't even know how you keep up with something like that. But I've known Angelo for some time now. And one thing about you and one thing about the hospital is that you really do, you're ahead of the curve a lot anytime that you and I are talking. I always feel that you're ahead of the curve on things. We got wind that the ICU unit is being completely redone, and that next week there's actually a open house for this, right?
Right.
So I asked Angelo to come on so we could talk a bit about why did you do this?
Well, your opening remark about growth is true.
Yeah.
The focus of our organization as a community organization is that we are motivated and driven by meeting the community need. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
So as we look at what the demand is, where our services are going, we try to stay ahead of that and anticipate what the impact could be inside the organization. And not only has the community grown, our services have grown, the complexity of our services have grown. We've attracted very well-trained physicians, very sophisticated in some of the services they provide that didn't exist in this community some years ago. Well, with that, there's an organizational-wide impact. One of those impacts is inside of our ICU, needing that level of care for some of the patients that we're bringing into the organization. So we have now for quite some time known that we're outstripping the physical capacity of our existing ICU. I always need to point out we have great staff doing great things, but the physical space just can't accommodate what we're trying to do. In addition to the space, the technology has changed. I mean, the things that get put into a patient's room in the ICU didn't exist 20 years ago.
Yes, right.
In terms of the monitoring equipment, the type of technology that we bring to the patient, so that doesn't physically fit in the room. So knowing that this was happening, we put this inside of our planning, and our commitment to the community is to be as sophisticated as we can be to meet those expectations. And the ICU was really the next big thing we had to get at, so that level of service was sufficient to support all these other wonderful things that we've been doing.
Well, you know what? When you talk about an ICU unit, you realize, and I was in Saratoga Hospital's ICU unit 20 years ago, and you're scared. You know, you're in there, you're in trouble if you're in the ICU, you know? And one thing that Angela and I were talking about before we went on air, it's one thing to meet the growing needs of a community. It's another thing to have all the technology available. But you spoke to me about some very interesting things concerning the environment. And I really felt that the whole idea that you're in a caring environment. Now, you can say that if you want, but actually making the space compatible to that thinking is also really important.
True.
Right? And
True.
what led you to that? Why were you thinking that way?
To get at that experience you're describing, you first and foremost need wonderful staff. They have the expertise, the mindset, the style, the culture to create that healing environment that you're describing.
Yeah.
We have that. The piece that we needed was the physical surroundings to really let them do the very best that they can do.
Right.
So when we started designing the space, obviously we need architects and engineers, but right at the front of this and throughout the process, we actually had the individuals who work in the space that take care of patients, nurses, physicians, share what they needed. What did they see the family issues to be, the patient issues to be? Where do things physically need to sit?
Yeah,
Where do
that's
things need to be out of the way so that they're not cluttering and they're easy to reach? During the design process, we actually built mock-ups of the space and let people practice in it, so that when we got to the actual product, it really did let the caregivers get to that environment that you're describing. And that's accomplished through things like we have really spacious and calming waiting areas. We have private areas for consultation, discussions. These are challenging moments in an ICU.
That's right.
People need privacy. Families need privacy. They may need a place where they can have a meeting with a nurse, physician about what's going on. Our existing space was just never big enough to accommodate that. When you get into the rooms, and when you get a chance to see they're bigger, we have the equipment suspended from the ceiling so it can move out of the way. The staff can move around, be more flexible. Privacy is first and foremost. We have automatic dimming glass to create privacy to the rest of the apartment. Infection control was a motivator throughout the design
really
process.
Paramount, especially in an ICU, right?
So how sinks are mounted, the materials we used, not having cloth curtains, but the automatic dimming glass, as I shared, all reduces the requirement to touch, retouch, touch other things, and potentially spread unwanted bacteria around. So the environment was important, the experience was important, infection control was important, and our staff just really just piled into this process.
You know, I think
we have a better outcome.
You know, I was thinking about you. I was made the statement ahead of the curve. When you think about involving the staff, you know, these are the people who, on a daily basis, day to day, are communicating with the patients and the families, any of the caregivers, right? And the whole idea that they were involved in the process of design, you know, I think is just really something. Now, I want to give a shout out. Of course, this wouldn't be possible without the generosity of a lot of people in our community. Kind of at the top of that is the Mary Lou Whitney group.
Mary Lou Whitney has been a friend to Saratoga in general, and specifically Saratoga Hospital. We have many programs and services that have been made possible by her generosity. She's helped support our new emergency department, our interventional cardiology area, Molly Wilmot Cancer Center, and in areas I'm probably not thinking of. She's always been there for us as a great supporter, and as you know, anything Saratoga, she's been there as a great supporter. So it was fitting that her name play a role in how we name this new service.
And also their generosity, you know, in a lot of different areas. And I think one other thing I'd written down, and also the generous support of like 1,500 people, families and individuals, 1,500 who have jumped in to help make this possible. You know, I remember the name Dr. Del Giaco. This is from like even 20 years ago. And his name is being mentioned. This is really a tribute to him, right?
It is.
Why?
We wanted this unit to carry names that were important to the organization, and we talked about Mary Lou Whitney. Dr. Del Giaco joined the staff in the early 80s. He is really the one who created, designed, and has overseen the development of what I'll call the modern intensive care service at Saratoga Hospital since its inception. He's been a part of the organization for his entire career. You almost can't experience a stay in the ICU or family member experience a stay in the ICU without having had a chance to cross paths with him, meeting. He is a consummate physician, has dedicated more time to the organization and the community, and he takes that very importantly, service to the community through taking care of his patients than most any physician I've worked with. We all feel very proud and excited that this new unit can carry his name. Wow.
I think no matter where you look at this project, it's just very much ahead of the curve and pays tribute to the people who really have a history of helping.
It does.
The people. Wow. Well, Angelo, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
The open house is next Thursday, right? Good. Okay, great.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you next Thursday then, because we'll be there. We'll carry a story on that too.
Okay, great.
Thank you for taking the time to commit.
Thank you.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.